Focus is often misunderstood. We think it is about intensity, about narrowing the eyes, about squeezing the mind into a tunnel of effort. But real focus is not tension. It is clarity. It is not about holding on tightly, but about letting go of what pulls you away. The true nature of focus is not to hold, but to return to the present again and again without resistance, without judgment. The mind will wander. That is its nature. Thoughts will come, some gentle, some loud. Memories will arise. Distractions will pull. This is not failure. This is the path. The question is not whether the mind wanders, but whether you can notice the wandering and return, gently, patiently, like a parent guiding a child back to center, not with anger, but with quiet strength. Each time you return, you train the mind. Each return is a step deeper into awareness. The wandering is not the enemy, it is the invitation. To return is to remember what matters right now. The breath, the step, the sound of the moment. In this way, focus is not about resisting the world, but about anchoring yourself within it. You are not shutting the world out, you are choosing where to stand in it. There is power in repetition. Returning may seem simple, but it is profound. A single return, done with presence, is more valuable than hours of scattered attention. Like water shaping stone, each return leaves a mark. It shapes the mind into something steady, something still. Over time, this becomes your nature, not to be pulled by every impulse, but to rest in the act of choosing. Focus is not a destination, it is a practice. It is not found once and kept forever. It is discovered each moment anew. Every time you bring the wandering mind back to the now, you are remembering yourself, not the noisy self made of desires and worries, but the still self who watches, who listens, who is always here. Silence is often mistaken for emptiness, a void, a gap between sounds. But true silence is not what happens outside of us. It is what awakens within. It is the space in which everything else can be heard more clearly. It is not an escape from noise, but a deeper listening that emerges when we no longer react to every sound, every thought, every distraction. Silence is not the absence of noise, it is the presence of awareness. In the quiet, you begin to hear what was always there, the rhythm of your breath, the subtle beating of your heart, the soft hum of life beneath the surface. You realize that silence is not a blank page. It is the page itself, holding every word, every sound, every sensation. It holds without judgment, without attachment. And in that holding, something powerful happens. Awareness expands. You see not just what is happening, but how it is happening. You begin to see the spaces between the events, and you rest there. To enter silence is to meet yourself without interference. No roles, no demands, no masks. In that stillness, the mind has nowhere to run. It must sit with what is. At first, this can feel uncomfortable. The urge to move, to think, to speak, to escape, it will arise. But if you do not follow it, something else appears. Presence, awareness, a steady, observing part of you that has no urgency. It watches without resistance. It listens without needing to speak. When you stop filling every space with noise, the natural intelligence of the moment rises to the surface. You begin to see more clearly, not because more information is coming in, but because the filter of noise has been removed. Awareness is not something to be added to you. It is something to be uncovered. Silence peels back the layers. It reveals what was hidden behind the noise. This is where insight lives, not in loud answers, but in quiet realizations. The more time you spend in silence, the more you realize it never truly leaves. Even in the middle of chaos, there can be a center of stillness. Even in conversation, you can speak from silence rather than noise. It is not about retreating from the world, but carrying a deeper awareness into every action, every word, every breath. Silence becomes not just a practice, but a way of being. It is where awareness lives, and awareness is what makes the moment real. Inner peace is not something you earn by achieving more. It is not a prize at the end of struggle. It is not found in noise, possession, or control. Inner peace is already within you, quiet, waiting, undisturbed. But it is covered by layers of noise, expectation, fear, and memory. Like the sky behind the clouds, peace is not gone. It is simply unseen. The journey is not to create peace, but to uncover it. We carry so much within us. Unfinished stories, tightly held beliefs, old wounds that still whisper. Each of these weighs on the present moment, pulling us away from stillness. But inner peace begins when we stop adding more to who we think we are. Not by solving everything, but by gently loosening the grip, letting go of what no longer serves, letting the old thoughts pass without feeding them. The space that opens when we stop clinging is the very place where peace begins to show. To uncover peace is to meet what is here without resistance. The emotions we avoid, the truths we fear, the silence we often run from, all are gateways. When we turn toward them with awareness, we stop fighting what already is. And in that stopping, something softens. This is not weakness. It is the strength to face yourself fully, the strength to let go. And in letting go, the storm begins to settle, not because it disappears, but because you are no longer fueling it. There is no force in peace. It does not demand. It does not conquer. It simply waits. Beneath the noise of thought, beneath the wave of emotion, beneath the mask of identity, there it rests. A stillness that does not move even when everything around it does. We don't uncover peace by escaping the world. We uncover it by standing fully in it, but no longer being ruled by it. Peace arises when we stop confusing motion with meaning and simply be. The most powerful realization is that peace has always been available. We just stopped listening to it. The mind wants drama, reaction, intensity, because that is what it was trained to seek. But the heart speaks in quieter ways. And when we become still enough, we hear it again. In that hearing, peace is not a distant goal. It is the ground beneath our feet. We do not need to chase it. We need only to remember it was never gone. Discipline is often misunderstood as harshness, something rigid, something forced. But true discipline is not about punishment. It is not about denying life or suppressing joy. Real discipline is quiet strength. It is the commitment to what matters, even when distractions whisper. It is the choice to return to your path, not once, but 1,000 times. Not out of fear, but out of clarity. It is a form of inner loyalty to your values, to your practice, to your peace. The world outside is full of temptations pulling you in every direction. Noise, urgency, comparison, and escape. And the mind, if untrained, will chase them all. Discipline is what steadies the mind. It does not silence desire, but it gives you space to choose. It is not the absence of struggle. It is the power to stay centered in the middle of it. It is not cold. It is warm, rooted, and alive. The one who trains with discipline does not become harder, but more stable, more conscious. There is strength in waking up each day and choosing what serves your growth, especially when it is not easy. That is the number R that may be sitting in silence when the world demands speed. It may be practicing stillness when your thoughts want to run. These small acts, done consistently, are not minor. They shape your character. They build a kind of strength that cannot be seen, but can be felt. You begin to trust yourself, not because you control everything, but because you show up anyway. Discipline is not only in action, it is in attention. It is in the way you speak to yourself, the way you listen, the way you breathe. It is the quiet refusal to give your energy to what depletes you. It is the awareness that not every impulse needs a reaction. When the mind wants comfort, discipline reminds it of meaning. When the heart is restless, discipline gives it rhythm. It is a companion on the inner path, firm but compassionate. The strongest person is not the one who reacts the fastest, but the one who sees clearly and responds wisely. This kind of strength does not shout. It does not prove itself. It simply remains consistent and steady, even when no one is watching. And over time, this consistency becomes your foundation. Not to dominate the world, but to walk through it with grace, with depth, and with direction. In the rush of life, we often overlook the most essential act we perform, the breath. It is always there, steady and patient, asking for nothing, giving everything. We breathe thousands of times each day, yet how many of those breaths do we actually feel? Awareness begins the moment you return to just one breath, not a special one, not a perfect one, just one. In that one breath, deeply felt and fully received, there is enough space to come home to yourself. The breath does not belong to the past or the future. It exists only now. When you anchor your awareness in a single breath, you are no longer lost in memory or worry. You are here fully. One breath is not a pause from life. It is life. That is the number earns you that peace is not a destination, but something available in the present. Whenever you choose to return, you do not need a quiet room, a meditation cushion, or a perfect setting. Just the willingness to notice, to feel, to be. This one breath can become a refuge. In moments of stress, it grounds you. In moments of anger, it cools you. In moments of doubt, it brings you back to center. Not by solving your problems, but by giving you the space to see clearly. The breath doesn't fix the world, but it changes how you meet it. And that changes everything. The breath teaches you that you don't have to react, you can respond. And response begins with presence. In a single breath, there is rhythm, inhalation, expansion, release. It mirrors life itself, the taking in, the holding, the letting go. And just as the breath renews itself moment by moment, so can you. No matter what happened a moment ago, the next breath is always fresh, always available. It is your reset button, your silent guide, your invisible anchor. Each time you notice it, you step out of automatic living and into intentional being. You don't need to wait for peace to arrive someday. You don't need to earn it through effort or wait until everything is calm. One breath is enough. Enough to pause, enough to see, enough to feel the ground under your feet, enough to reconnect with the stillness that never left. It is not dramatic, but it is powerful. It is not loud, but it is alive. Within this single breath is the doorway to everything the mind chases, and it is already open.